Toriano Sanzoni, the Wolfkeeper, owner of Wolfkeeper University. We've been in business for 20 plus years.
Welcome to the Wolfkeeper, a show that's just about everything that you can maybe think about, everything that you can feel that's inside of your heart. What I need for you to do right now is spend the next hour relaxing. Just stop your day before you go into 12 o'clock. And I just want y'all to close your minds, open your hearts, and relax and go on this journey with me. It's a beautiful place that you're about to go, because I want to make you feel, I want to just open you up and think about some things you never really thought about. Right now, the Wolfkeeper. Come on. Good morning, y'all. Come on. It's the Wolfkeeper show. Get ready. Come on, let's go. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. It's the Wolfkeeper show. Your boy Toriano Sanzoni. Yeah. Chanelly Nell. My boy Tyrone Scott somewhere rocking the Doogie Dogs. Denzel's in his house. Shacky Shack. And for all the people out there that love us, we love you back. Thank you all. Get ready for an amazing show with the Wolfkeeper. Get ready. Here we go.
Today we got Dr. Maguire, who I was just on your show, and I welcome you, Beach Com, Gustavus Adolphus College out there. Thank you for being on my show. I got co-host for the entire month, Sterling the Trap King, down there changing animals and saving their lives. Chanelly Nell is out there. She's normally co-hosting, but Sterling is our guest co-host. Thank you, sir, so much. I know you having me, man. Let's just get I got so much I want to talk about today, and I said, what do I want to talk about today? I'd be remiss to not talk about just some real serious things. And of course we're gonna have fun, but since I have some of the most brilliant minds in the world right here, I want to talk about I don't know if you all saw it or not, but did you guys get a chance to see the debate?
Yep.
I saw it. I stomached as much as I could of it.
I want to go there. I want to go. We're gonna talk about a lot of different things because I was thinking about because in college, what we would, study reading body language.
Right.
I just want to talk about a fun component. I don't want to get into like the back and forth, but just and Toriano, I always like to bring back people out there. Could always have some little haters that are like, "You're doing podcasts now. You were doing dog training. And you're doing." Don't tell them what I might be doing. I might. Who knows? I gotta always bring it relatable for everyone. But a big part of dog training is I'm sure same with you, Sterling. A big part of our world with animals is body language. If the animals say certain, I mean, you had a hedgehog that ran through the background the other day. I'm not touching a hedgehog. I mean that thing looks scary. I'm not a cat. I've been bit so many times. Nowadays, if it has the wrong body language, I don't touch it. I don't get around it. And I don't care how trained a hedgehog
litter box trained too.
Really? Oh, they're so cute.
No,
he's something else.
Well, it's kind of like when people, he looks super cute, but anyway, where I'm going with that is we read body language for life or death, right? And then I'm about to bring some race in there, how I'm so smooth and how I can do it. We read body language for life or death because this year alone, I've been stopped by the cops 4 times last week, actually, since we talked.
Really?
Wow.
Marie, since you and I talked, I guess.
That's crazy.
It's just, and I jokingly say I'm the good Negro, right? So I'm like, if I'm getting stopped, Pooh Bear and Ray Ray have no hope. It's just they're doomed. They're doomed. But we'll talk about I'm sorry. I don't know. I said Anne Marie.
That's okay. People call me all sorts of things, but you should not call me Dr. Maguire. You should call me Mariangela.
Mariangela. What was your stance on the body language?
Well, I was really impressed when Joe Biden would stop sort of orienting to the president and just look at the camera. I thought that was a really smart move. Now was that coached or was that just Joe like in that experience his 47 years? I think it was something that they talked about ahead of time because they saw President Trump. I always like to refer to him respectfully, even though he doesn't respect the office. I'm trying to respect the office. So I think President Trump was badly behaved. He interrupted Hillary Clinton a lot, right?
Ooh, man.
So they knew he was going to interrupt.
That was
ugly. So they figured he was going to interrupt Biden, and I think they said, try to remember when he does that. Turn towards the camera, just look at the audience that's not really there, and just talk to the people. I thought that was really smart.
That was his Muhammad Ali coaching. Like now, would you say? Did you catch that, Sterling? The whole look into the camera.
I saw it.
Now, I wanted my criticism was I think he did it too much because at a certain point I felt like it felt like avoidance because it was like, "Yo, mama," and he was like, "American, don't be small. When they go low, you go high, and you stink." Americans.
See, I can relate to Biden though because I go through that in cat rescue a lot. It's not just the cats; it's the people I'm trying to educate and get them to understand stuff. So a lot of times you'll have people that's just angry. They're emotional. They feel like this cat is the cat and you're supposed to do it. So a lot of times I've been insulted and I'm kind of like Biden. I'm just okay. Everything is fine. We're gonna get the cat, and if someone is still constantly come at me like, "Hey, you should have been out here. You should have did this or do it like that," and I'm like, "Okay, thanks for the advice, but what we're gonna do?" I get into that situation Biden was in a lot, and I try to watch my body language and make sure I'm not like, "What'd you just say to me?" Or I'm just okay. I understand. Thanks for the advice. But I feel what you're saying. He probably is doing it too much.
Angelo, let me ask you this: can you? Clearly, Trump won. However, a win is a win. In the words of the great philosopher, St. Louis rapper Nelly, number one is a winner. Number two, no one remembers. You mean
Right.
clearly he won. Whatever, right?
You think the president won?
I mean, no, I'm talking about against Hillary.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Clearly he won.
Right, whatever.
However he won, he won.
Right,
We know.
right. However he
Same
won,
thing,
he won.
Bush against Gore, Bush won. I mean,
Right.
no one, my son doesn't even know who Gore is probably, right? So,
Right.
he won. Does the whole going high when they go low, does that work? You think it's gonna because Trump he's just a crash fighter. Can you if you were the debate, if you're for the next debate, you're Biden's coach.
Yeah, right. Oh, love that job. Yeah.
What do you do differently?
Well, I think when he debated Hillary, that she tried to go high and it didn't work, and he was ugly to her, and maybe, but I think that's a gender thing too. I think if Biden had snapped at him harder, had been uglier to President Trump last week at the debate, I don't think it would have helped him. I think his kind of steadiness, even though it was at times maybe too much, but coming out of the debates in terms of the polls, Biden's getting a lot of older people are starting to turn towards Biden because I think they see him as calm and rational, whereas Trump really showed himself. He was just very childish, very kind of silly almost, and like a little kid. And now you worry the next debate. I mean, he's not in good health now. If he's really going to show up to this debate, which he says he is, what kind of shape is he going to be in? I don't know. And so I think Biden actually has to be pretty careful not to appear to be beating up on a sick old man.
I mean, let me ask you, Sterling, let me ask you this to weigh in on what Mariangela said, marketing-wise. So, two great musical acts in the history of the world, right, based their entire careers off being bad boys and talking ish. Elvis Presley, Marshall Mathers, aka Eminem, right, made an entire career off of trash talking, being the outliner, being the Trump.
Right?
Yeah, the antagonist.
Right, talking shit. It worked, whether we like it or not. I mean, it worked for many years. I mean, how do you go against, here's my stance before you weigh in. I don't think it works. I think that you have to strategically, because you know that he's going for it. And right now in the world, I'd say that the world right now is imperfectly imperfect. So if you don't have some kind of edge or swag, because Biden threw a couple non-presidential things in there. Yeah, for sure. We called him
a clown.
He called me something like, you clown, and I can argue both sides. I've seen them both live, right? Yeah. I've met them both. They both are beasts. Trump is no joke. When I saw him live back in 2006, holy shit, I was blown away. Biden made me cry, for sure. When he got up, I saw him like they both are incredible orators live. I think certain people don't give people respect until you see them live.
Right.
Oprah's like that. Until you see her live, don't talk ish. But a lot of artists are like, I think there are very few artists on that level. And so would you agree, because being an artist, Sterling, until you see them live.
And then not just seeing them live, but in something like with Eminem with hip hop or rap, something that's competitive, or like a debate, presidential debate that's competitive. I think it's better. The person that'll win is the person that could be themselves and display themselves in a strong way. Like Trump does what he do because he's always the same guy. He's genuinely who he is, right or wrong. He's genuinely who he is. So that whole bravado and bullying attitude, he's really genuinely that. Right or wrong, that's what he genuinely is. So if you, like Hillary, try to beat him at what he is, you probably already lost. You have to, like being an artist, you have to genuinely find your lane and who you are and present that, versus trying to figure out a way to beat him at his game, because you're not going to beat him at his game. He's genuinely a small hand bully. I need to stop. I need to stop. I need to stop.
I think that's a good point.
Mariangela, if you had, let me ask you this. If you, okay, it was up to you and you had to pick somebody else to go against him,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Who would you put against him? That if you had to put a for sure, 100% dog in the game.
Yeah, going off what Sterling said, I think you're right. You can't beat Trump at his own game unless you are as good at that game.
Who would you put in there, though?
I would put either Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren because, they are both very quick, like on their feet kind of thinkers, and
Witty.
they have sharp edges, and they're willing to say things that make other people uncomfortable. And I think they would have been. I thought one of the things about that debate was really very cool is because, Biden does have a stutter. And so for somebody who has a stutter, who's managing it, to be interrupted 158 times. I mean,
is that the count?
Yes. That's what I heard this morning anyway.
Wow.
That really bordered on cool because, there's nothing, a person with a stutter is not intellectually disabled, but that is very hard to manage. And you could see him managing it. He did Biden, and he did a pretty good job. But you can't expect, I think, somebody who has to manage their speech that way. He got some punches in. He called him a clown. He told him to shut up at one point. But I think Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris would have known how to beat him at his game. Because I think it's something like their game too.
I'm gonna go with that too because I saw Trump in 06. It was supposed to be a financial seminar, and first thing came out. One, he's not scripted, so I would have coached someone. I would have had someone going against someone, sparring against people that are completely impromptu speakers that aren't. Yeah. That's number one. You can't. Yeah. You have to practice with someone that's just off their head because financial seminar. It was like $500 to get in there. It was like Trump, Bob Kiyosaki, George Foreman. One of those, this is how you make money speeches. First thing we're going to talk about is prenuptial agreements. I told Melania, if you don't sign, no deal. And he went on and on prenuptial contract. Basically, every chauvinistic thing that could be said as far as and he left the stage. Everyone was like, the fuck? He literally
That's nuts.
it was like he was literally talking to 5,000 people and making it up as he goes. So I mean, I agree. I would have I think the only person I would have said, hey Sterling, jump on the Lear, fill up 2 Gucci bags with a whole bunch of money and go holler at Michelle. And I think she's the only person that could have went head to head quick. Other than that, I mean, because the thing is, from a marketing stance, now we look at it from marketing. You mean from a marketing stance is that your average person just likes quick, basic, simple things that work. You know what I mean? Like the average American, you can't go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and like the 20-page blueprint.
Right. Can't be that complicated.
For kicks and giggles, I just love politics. Like people love football, I love politics. So I did my own unofficial. I used my Gustavus Adolphus College background.
Good.
After the first election, and I was like, for real, I was interviewing, because I was just shocked about how many Latinos voted for him. So I was asking, like, who'd you vote for? And like, we voted for Trump. We voted for Trump. And then I was like, wow, that's so fucking amazing. Like, why'd you vote for Trump? And I kept hearing this. That's all my kid talked about. Oh shit, there he is, Mariangela. There is. No, hell no, never. I am never picking that up.
Griffin.
Oh man, just squeezing around things. No. Hey,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's all good. Hey, that's where you win as the animal. You get the crown, brother.
It ain't safe trapping them things either. They will chew through your cage.
No way. It's not happening. It's not happening. But I was saying, so I kept asking these Latino adults, our age, why they vote for Trump. They kept saying, so my kid was talking about, like, your kid, like 18, 19, and that's who they voted for, so that's who I voted for. I was like, wow. So then I started finding, like, young Latinos. You never guess why.
I won't.
You know what they kept saying?
What?
I liked his characters.
Wow.
I like
character?
Like
the characters.
Show.
I was like, what characters? They're like, oh, because I can remember the characters. He's like Crooked Hillary, Lying Ted, Little Marco.
Yeah. Wow.
He created characters that they could remember.
Yep. He has a
So
name for that.
they just followed the characters.
Oh my God. Like a telenovela. You know, there's big characters on those.
And he did it right away with Pamela. When he said nasty Pamela. I mean, like,
Right.
I don't even, from a marketing PR person, I don't even know how I come back right away if you just call my client nasty Cam. I mean, but I got to do something. You cannot not do anything, because if he puts, once he puts that title on you, your PR team, one, either has to, like, debunk it right away, or wait for it to come, play the defense, but you can't just be back, and, Trap King, the Swamp Thing. Like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't let it sit. And I thought that was so interesting.
That is interesting, yeah. I have a friend, we're trying to get this idea started with, you know how they found out that Trump is nowhere near as rich as he says he is. I should say the president. So we want to talk about, if somebody's rich, are they rich or are they Trump rich, right? Is it real or is it Trump rich? Because that's just obviously fake.
Yeah, is it like liquid or is it what's the other word? I can't remember the other word, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yep.
Not really rich.
No, fake rich.
Yeah, not wealthy maybe.
Well, have you ever seen interviews like President Trump on Larry King Live before he was president, like maybe from 15 years ago? He's really, he speaks in complete sentences. He has a sophisticated vocabulary. He sounds like a well-educated guy. But if you listen to him now, the sentences are short, the words are short, there's a lot of repetition. I keep asking myself, is it intentional because he thinks he's appealing to less educated voters with that simple language, like in those characters, right? Is that what he's trying to do? Does he mean to do it? Or is it just a sign of his mental decline, that he can't speak in those kind of more sophisticated ways anymore? I don't know.
I've wondered the same thing. I promise I've wondered the same thing. Yeah, because I've heard him talk before. I've heard him speak before. It's totally different now.
It is.
Right.
It's weird.
I mean, I hate to sound draconian about it, but right now they're the winning team. I mean, it's like if I'm, it's like LA Lakers right now. Just LeBron is winning. Right. So it's like, how do we stop him though? That's where I feel like we get caught up in, and I read, it was a stat. I wish I had it, and I should have kept it because I was never able to find it again. But it showed they broke down a guesstimate of what he gets in free advertising, and it was in the billions, based upon all the Dump Trump T-shirts, the dog toy that were like Trump. I mean, all the paraphernalia that's designed to go against him. But you're designing something with his name in it, which it goes back to P.T. Barnum of like, there's no such thing as bad press. And they're doing it on $1 billion level.
Right. And that's, some people say that's all he wanted in the first place was to help his brand. He didn't really want to win. He was just in a financial crisis. He thought if he ran for president, it would get his brand, the kind of push he needed. And he didn't really expect it to go this way. So, I don't know. He certainly made money off of it, and his family.
It's crazy to think that you just accidentally became president. Like, I wasn't even trying for it, but here it is. I'm the president. That's pretty good. Here I go.
Well, I think it's interesting, and this is my stance, and I'm going to claim it right now, is that Trump also too broke the era of the last political president. I mean, that moving forward, especially if he wins again, which I'm predicting he's going to win again. I just don't think that the Democrats, they had to have started a marketing campaign the day Hillary lost, and it's too much leverage, to take out. Taking out an incumbent is. I'm saying this based on my political experience, just on a small city council. When I looked at the map, it'd be cheaper for me to run for mayor of Chicago than take out an incumbent alderman. Because I'm not just taking out an incumbent alderman, I'm taking out a brand. So you're not just taking out. A guy said it best. It's hard to beat somebody when their name's on the side of skyscrapers.
Exactly.
So you're not just taking out the Trump or even the Republican Party. You're taking out a brand that his family built, over 60 some 70 years ago. But I feel like moving forward, you're going to have pop culture presidents moving forward, like 2024. I'm going to claim it now that one of his offsprings are going to run. I'm going to say it's going to be Ivanka Trump against some pop culture person that you don't even you would have never even guessed at all. What do you think about that prediction?
I'm agreeing. There's been movies out. I'm trying to think of one in particular where they had a guy run for, I don't know what he was running for. I think he was running for president, but he was completely inexperienced, not political at all. He spoke kind of out the side of his neck, and people liked it because it was different. It wasn't political. The approach seemed genuine, and that's what they use in that movie a lot. Oh, he seems genuine. He seems like a real person, not a politician. So listen, look at Kanye West. Kanye West is like, I'm running, and that's, people as bipolar as he is, as much as he's showing illness, people are still kind of like, man, I might actually vote for Kanye West if he run. And that lets you know right there. That's, by 2020.
In theory, not to interrupt you, but in theory, he potentially could win. I mean, because his wife has 100 million plus followers. Between their whole family, they have close to 1 billion social media followers.
Like you said, you're going against a brand. There's a lot of people that grew up listening to Kanye West music or grew up watching the Kardashian show that instantly, they probably will sway away where most people like us would be like, wait, what are you doing?
Well, and it goes back to the kid I was saying that said, I like the characters. It really came down to that simple. I can remember Little Marco, Crooked Hillary, Lying Ted.
Right.
It's that simple. Marco Rubio, probably they couldn't tell you one platform that Marco Rubio supported, but they remembered Little Marco. When he kept, shut up, Little Marco, Crooked Hillary. Like I'm predicting it's going to be a brand. What do you think, Mariangela?
I definitely think if President Trump wins again, well, two things. One, I agree with you. I think one of his kids will run. I think it's most likely Ivanka. I don't think she's as relatable as he is, and especially to men. I don't know that kind of prissy Park Avenue look is going to be as accessible to people as his has been. But I think you're right. Probably, why wouldn't the Democrats put, I don't know, George Clooney or somebody else who's a big time liberal, progressive, up against a pop culture candidate. But the other thing that we haven't talked about is, will President Trump win again because it's hard to beat a brand and an incumbent, or because they'll suppress the vote in so many places? So many people just won't be able to, their vote won't count.
Yeah. And
really scary.
Let's segue into that, because voter suppression is a real thing. I'm going to call it right now.
Yeah.
That that weekend, and I found this out with my election, that the week of my election, conveniently, like all these income tax checks came out, and a plethora of drugs were flooded in the community.
Wow.
And that Tuesday, people, I just knew for sure I was going to have at least 2,000 people vote. I was marketing one-on-one in my database. I'm like people I had actually talked to.
Right.
What happened? Oh man, they got that check, and I was just like out partying, kicking it, man. I didn't like da 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 da. Like then someone told me like, yeah, voter suppression is real. Like there's always some kind of money that appears, and there's drugs that appear, and that's so you take this election. It's Halloween weekend, Saturday, first time in 25 years. Halloween's on a Saturday, and it's a full moon, right? So you got all this stuff happening that weekend of the election.
Mm-hmm.
I would not doubt if mysteriously some kind of stimulus check is given on that Friday. I'm partying, dressed up like Dracula, howling at the full moon, talking about, girl, you about to have a baby. I forgot Monday and Tuesday to go vote because I'm crawling out of my coma. I think it's that deep. I mean, I know it's that deep. Voter suppression is real.
Yeah, and it's not just that's kind of what happens on the individual level when in communities, but also like look at Texas. There are counties in Texas that are bigger than the whole. Bigger than the whole state of Rhode Island, and they're going to have one place where people can drop off their ballot. Now, I live in Washington State, and we've had mail-in voting for years, apparently. It goes very smoothly. I can walk 6 blocks and put my ballot in a box in a central location. That's how that's supposed to work. But, think how scared those Republicans are in Texas that they limited each county to one box where you can put your ballot. People have to drive like an hour and a half to get to the box. It's ridiculous. It's just.
And is that in Washington or is that in Oregon where you guys are automatically registered?
You're not automatically registered. No.
Is that Oregon?
Register. I don't think so. I don't think there's a. I don't know.
It's one of those states that they passed where if you have a driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. Like you have to actually.
Yeah, that could be because then you have an address, a signature, and you know that they're a state resident because they have the driver's license. That's when I registered to vote, was when I got my driver's license. But I just moved into this house less than a year ago. The people who lived here before us, their ballots didn't come in the mail, right? The system knew who to send ballots to, me, not the previous owners, right? So I mean, it's a good system. It works really well, and it sure is easy. But they're working, like in South Carolina, the Supreme Court said you have to have a witness to your ballot.
Oh, I mean, and voter suppression is real. I mean, that's why people. I saw that my little nephew had posted that why vote vote for one of the lesser evils and all this other stuff, and then, but I mean, they check your voter history, and what happens too is that when they see that you have not voted in a while, someone might like. I vote, and this still happened. When I went to go vote for myself, I was like literally one of the first people in Chicago to vote. I was that excited to vote for myself. Like, oh my God, I made the ballot. I'm gonna vote. I got down there, which same thing. Early voting, which is super voting, which happens like normally like one location in the entire city. For Chicago, there's one location for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Where you can vote for super voting. Yeah. Which that's a whole thing by itself, because if you're a super voter, then you're marked as a not just an early voter. There's super voters, early voters, vote by mail, and primary voters, the ones that wait till the day of the election.
Yeah.
I walk in, this is deep. Hi, can I help you? I'm like, here to vote. It's like, it was like, how did you find this bat cave? I can't even make this up. Like, how do you know about this? Because it was like in this weird indescript building downtown Chicago. So, like, if you're way on the south side, no one's going to jump on a bus and go where to early vote. Then when you're at the vote, got past that part, which I'm just like, interesting, right? You're shocked at the voting. Number 2, went to go vote, and then, it shows that you've already mailed your vote in. Like, that's impossible. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. So I actually had to fill out some paperwork saying that I did not vote just so I could vote.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's why you should vote. Because someone can be using it because there's not real. You don't have to show ID to vote.
Right.
I mean, so what can also happen is that I can say, "Hey, Sterling, here's $8,000. Go through and pull everyone that's registered to vote but hasn't voted in the last 10 years," right? And then that's why you have to have poll watchers, because I can have some poll that's over in some weird isolated area of whatever city and have them basically just casting votes of people that have not voted, because who's going to really check unless you're really going to audit the votes?
Right.
But you do have to sign in when you go to vote, when you vote on the day of. So they should be checking the signatures anyway when you go vote.
In theory, they should.
In theory, yes.
If you're, that's what I'm saying. Your opponent might be in charge of the polls. I mean, like here in Chicago, like.
Well, like in Georgia, when that governor stole the election from Stacey Abrams, I mean, that was nuts.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Purge the rolls. I mean,
that was crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, poll watching is a real thing, which is you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize this. I ran. Voting has to be one of the most like prehistoric things that we still have in place. Like, I have to go online and put my social security in for so many different things. Right. And my driver's license and my credit card, my social, my driver's license and credit card, just to pull a credit check. Right. But I have to go in person to vote or vote by mail. Right. Like, there's so many different ways that the government could have spent X amount of money to update that broken down system on both sides if they really wanted to do it. But then you'd have a complete change. People actually would vote, and it'd be bad for both people because they put so much money in. Both sides, Democrats and Republicans, have spent billions of dollars to control and have some kind of guesstimate of who's actually going to vote.
Well, and it's simple things like, some countries you vote on the weekends, so it's more likely that people are off work because that increases the amount of participation. I mean, there's all kinds of really kind of low-hanging fruit changes we could make. Yeah. I
mean, the fact that voting isn't all digital, that you can't vote from your computer, or that you can't do the necessary security measures to vote online is absolutely part of it. That's part of the game.
Especially when we're doing everything else online.
Exactly. Right.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, Sterling. Like, we have to put our information into some website for things that you probably shouldn't even have to.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I just had to do it. I just updated my credit alert program. So I'm like, dude, I'm putting a lot of information into a private company that you're praying they don't have a breach.
I feel like I gave Words with Friends too much of my information. That's a game. It's an app. It's a game. I feel like they have way too much of my information for me to just play Scrabble.
Right.
Well, and do something like get into your bank account. All those ways that they can check, is it really you? Right? Why can't you be voting?
Right.
Well, there's so many. Facebook, it is. I mean, just the software we have right now. Things you have to do. Like, I couldn't get into one of my Instagram accounts, and I basically had to send in a blood sample to establish my account. So, I mean, we know they can do it. The technology is there. They don't want it.
No.
Right.
No.
Let's segue into something else. We're just eating up so many minutes here. This is a super fun show. I want to thank Sterling the Trap King down in Atlanta for co-hosting this month with his weird, scary animals that he has over there.
And Alana's.
She is not scary. It's the hedgehog you're scared of, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Man, that hedgehog makes me nervous. And then Dr. Mariangela Maguire from Gustavus out there in Washington State. So another thing we all have in common now, would just be remiss for not bringing this up. Chanel Nell, she's not on the show, but she's always like, stop talking about dark, evil things. Just talk about positivity. But like, hey, shit is real. I just got stopped last week by two. I mean, now I don't even have patience. I was just like, you know what? This is why this isn't going to stop anytime soon, because you're wasting your time on me.
Right.
We can literally jump in my car right now and go somewhere where our taxpayers would be much better used than on me.
Yeah.
Right.
Period. Right. I'm just like, it's a joke. It's like I'm an easy target. but I'm a target because I'm doing something, because I'm waking people up and making them aware. You mean, which makes it even more dangerous, right?
Yep.
Dangerous Minds. It's like the artist Fela from Lagos, Nigeria. He spent most of his time incarcerated because they labeled his music dangerous, because he was just waiting. Bob Marley. I mean, like, music was labeled dangerous, right?
Yep.
So the thing we have in common, I want to just get my question for, because you're in Washington, you all just got all kind of issues going on in Washington State. You all been like protesting for like the last 200 plus days.
Yeah.
Like, I love Washington. It started in Minnesota, and Washington was like, "We got this. Let's just go and we do riots.
Pass it.
We're gonna create a whole entire. We're gonna take over a whole entire city block.
Yep.
Lock it down. Say you can't come in here and walk between Minnesota and, like, it jumped off in Minnesota, which Minnesota's like one of the whitest states in the country, right?
Yeah.
So it started there. It's kind of spread every place else, and then went up there. Like LA was like, "Nah, we good. We remember riding. We good." New York was like, "Look, we got COVID over here. We good." Chicago, we did a little bit. We did a little bit. Atlanta was just like, "Look, we got enough issues going on. We still got enough behavior." Like, but Washington came out of nowhere. It was like, we are the Michael Jordan of protest. We don't like. We want the. So right now, you guys definitely are winning. Congratulations. Probably being number one up there in the protest polls. Chicago, as I look out my window, it's just weird here, because we're like in this weird pseudo police state. You know, no one wants to call it that. It's like everyone's afraid that there might be a riot any moment. So you got people like, don't say anything that's gonna make anyone mad, and then you got some like, I don't care. Like, I grew up in the pandemic, you know, and then you got people over here like, I'm moving because my Gibson's restaurant is not open, you know, and then Atlanta just is always kind of feel like you're all in the middle, like with your mayor down there.
We crazy.
Like, I don't even know what
we trying to sue our own mayor, and it's crazy.
Right, you all trying to government against government, because Minnesota had, and this is what makes me real. This is so crazy right here, and I want everyone just to weigh in on this. Minnesota had George Floyd. Atlanta had Rayshard Brooks. Literally, like 4 weeks later, a black man is shot in the back in a Wendy's. Like, how do you get shot in the back in a Wendy's running away? Like, I can shoot you in your ankle. I can throw something at you. I can just let you go. I got your car. I mean, there's all kind of other options. So Minnesota had.
It was almost like it was being scripted. It was like somebody was setting it up or something. Like, after a while, when it happened so many times, it was like after the guy got shot in the back, I was like, wow, somebody's trying to make the city go crazy or something. Like, it's weird that it's happening so back to back to back, and then boom, and then even the little girl that got killed, it was like everything was just chaotic. That was it. Like, it really seemed like something between opening up early with COVID to the killings. It was like I think a protester got shot out there too. It almost seemed like it was scripted in Atlanta. Like, we're gonna tear this city up. We want to tear Atlanta up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's talk about this, because it got to be talked about. I mean, we all three of us live in states right now, right, where there's some crazy shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chicago, there's certain areas, like, I'm going to tell you, like, no, I don't feel comfortable. Like, yeah, something.
That's Chirac.
I mean, I had a bullet hole in my store. Someone shot at me. I moved out of my business. Mm-hmm. As I was moving out, my landlord told me, like, I'm like, I'm moving because it's not about the money. He wouldn't take my rent, straight up. Don't want your rent. His daughter stood on her stairs saying, like, we want you gone, you piece of shit. We want you out.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's Chicago. Mm-hmm. Atlanta is all, I mean, you all just historically have all kind of race stuff, just historically. I mean, just history of racism, from why Atlanta created Rosa Parks. Atlanta created Dr. King. Atlanta created a lot of movements, but now you have Washington State that is making this huge statement of like, enough, we're not quitting. So, like, I want to start with you, Mariangela, because we know Chicago. We know the history of Chicago, the Emmett Tills. You mean the Eugene Williamses. I mean, we can go. List goes on and on with the major cities.
Mm-hmm.
How is this happening out there? And you guys now are holding the record for like. Because what are you guys like on day 180 or something like that? 190?
I'm not sure. You know, it's funny because even though I live in Washington, Portland gets a lot more attention for the length of their protests. And maybe there's some kind of interstate rivalry between Portland and Seattle. I don't know. But Washington's a really unusual state. Like, the Cascade Mountains are about, 2/3 of the way across the state. And west of the Cascades, which is where Seattle and Tacoma, where I live, are, it's pretty liberal. It's kind of very blue. Right? And west of the Cascades can be very conservative. So there's actually a lot of tension in the state between the kind of progressive wing, the tech wing. There's kind of a, they call it the Pacific Northwest, kind of a hippie vibe that's very strong up here.
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of tension with the police, a lot of criticism. And so I don't know that there have been as many critical incidents as like what Sterling sees in Atlanta or what you've seen in Chicago, but there is a willingness to fight. There's just a willingness to stand up and say it's not right, it's not okay. We want to see massive change. I don't know. And there's also in some of the rural areas, there are those kind of like the Eamon Bundys, the people who really hate the government and are super conservative in some ways and just want the government off our backs. So there's kind of a volatile mix out here, both in Washington and Oregon.
When you say this willingness to fight, where do you think that? Where is that coming from? Because if someone said, "Hey, Toriano, here's the United States of America," I'm going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
This is in January 2020. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you now, there's going to be some race riots going on. I want you to pick out the top 5 cities where you believe it's going to happen at.
Yeah.
Nowhere around up there. Like, I don't even think about Oregon and Washington State. I just think Nike and like Starbucks. I do not think any kind of riots or people wanting to fight to stand up for the rights of like social injustice. What's your finger on that? Like, where is that coming from?
I think it comes from a lot of places. One is this is a beautiful place to live, and it's in some ways a nice place to live. So it has brought people from all over the country here. I think the tech industry brings a more kind of liberal, progressive, even though they're not in some of the practices, but it brings people out who are very much in that kind of mind frame. It brought a lot of hippies. There's a big pot growing industry throughout, with legal and everything in Oregon and Washington, so there's that dynamic. But then
I used to live in Tacoma, and I thought that
Washington's like Minnesota. It was started the Europeans who came here were from Scandinavia, and Scandinavians, like in Minnesota, there's a really strong progressive streak, a really strong egalitarian ethic. They don't always live up to it, but it's often articulated. So it just has created a more volatile mix than anybody would have expected.
You just cleared it up for me soon. You said the hippies. My homeboy who's out there, who I met at Burning Man, they're not happy right now. Hippies, the hippies and people that are like on that whole world of like, not cool, man. Like, this is messing up my vibe. They definitely are like picking up arms and protesting and going at it.
But generations, it's not just people like in their 20s. It's that population has been out there since the 60s or longer.
And I would say that's the difference between everything. And I'm going to ask you guys. This is such a great, interesting cast. I have a homework assignment for us, and I'm gonna have Rejoice. Let's rebook this show for this time next week. I'm giving everyone 1 week's homework. I'm the professor now.
Okay.
This is your homework. Your homework is to watch Lovecraft Country.
Okay.
Lovecraft Country.
Right. It's on HBO. If you don't have HBO, you might have to just download the app and watch it and then cancel it or whatever. But that's homework number 1. But it's so interesting because it's a combination. It's addressing racism in the South in a very like sarcastic, high political, magical way.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'll just give you a snapshot of what I mean is that the episode where the opening scene where everyone's crying, you see this huge crowd, and people are walking out of this building and they're puking. As they come out, they're puking. It's all these black folks, they're puking. So you see white police officers and huge crowds of black folks walking out of this building and they're puking. They just got the bucket there. And then
Let off tear gas or something?
the woman looks at, no, it's set like in the 60s. This is set in the 60s. No, the 50s. This is 50s. It's a period piece. And then the woman looks at her daughter and is like, it's okay, baby. It's just one of the hottest days in Chicago. And like and she's like, what? We should just go home. He's like, no, she needs to see this. They're like, but it was her friend. She couldn't handle seeing that happen to her friend. And then the camera, you finally find out who her friend is. And it's Emmett Till. So, and that was a big part of history that, in Chicago, where Emmett Till's mom wanted an open casket, after the brutality that had happened to Emmett Till, which is interesting when you think about it, that you go back to, here's our homework, watch Lovecraft Country, at least 2 episodes. And the other homework is, which a lot of people aren't aware of. There's so many deaths that happened. Obviously, there's a plethora of black folks that have died, but there's another one called event in Chicago history. Eugene Williams, in July 27, 1919, who was a 17-year-old boy, where Lake Michigan. This is so dope and interesting. Lake Michigan actually was divided by black side, white side. Even the water was divided. So he swam on the wrong side, and a white male stoned him until he drowned. And we call July 27, 1919, historically in Chicago, and we just had the 100-year anniversary of that last year, is Red Summer. It's one of the bloodiest. That murder resulted into one of the bloodiest riots. The riot went on from July 27, 1919 to August 5th. It was so bad they couldn't even. He was murdered July 27th. He didn't even get buried until August 5th. But it's interesting that part of it, you watch this brilliantly written. It's by you guys see the movie Get Out, or you saw Get Out? Okay, yeah. It's by Jordan Peele. This is one of his productions. So it's just, he did Get Out. He also did the other one, the horror movie that just came.
Us.
Yeah. So this is his series.
Okay.
It's just brilliant. It's written so well and it's so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have had to watch. I've watched the whole series for sure 2 times.
Oh,
like I finished it. I finished it in a week, and I had to actually go back to rewatch it because it's so important to what's happening right now.
Right.
But it's interesting because you think about these instances. Like here we are. The universe brought us, reconnected all of us, right? Chicago, Atlanta, right? Washington.
Mm-hmm.
We all got stuff going on right now. But then I don't think a lot of people honestly are even aware of, like, this has always been going on. This really is nothing new. In fact, on some level, it's calmer. I mean, the fact that
being called out probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a condo in Chicago with a French bulldog. You're in Atlanta with a hedgehog and a professor. And like, I think we've advanced somewhat.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think we can say we've advanced somewhat.
Right.
If someone has a hedgehog in his profession is saving little furry cats, Dr. King, you got to be somewhat proud of us. We we have progressed some.
There's definitely been some good.
When a black man has a hedgehog, I think we're okay. We made some. There's still some ways to go, but we definitely have, have come. Let's end it on this. What do you all? And this I just bring it up as it comes to my head. Going around the table.
Okay.
Yes or no, and why? Are we done with prolific, intense riots for 2020?
No, because of the election.
Yeah.
No matter what the outcome is or when we know the outcome, I think there's going to be unrest.
Right. Yeah. I feel like either way, whoever wins this election, it's going to be some protests and some riots. Either way, either side either way that wins, I think. And I think it's going to be pretty bad too. I think it's going to be worse than what we've seen earlier this year. I think it's going to be really bad because we putting a lot into this one. I mean, so many people are already saying this is the most important election ever. People are saying that, so people are going to take that to heart, and the response, whoever wins, I think we headed for a big one. And one like what you was just talking about that may last going into the new year even.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
cats.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I mean, I think that my son's in Minnesota, so I went to Minnesota July 3rd, and I mean the tension was so thick. I mean, it was interesting because I did a little social experiment. I was at the hotel and I literally just parked my car not even right in front, kind of on the sidewalk, right in front. It was like, are you okay? Are you how long are you gonna be here? I'm gonna be here for a while. Okay, no problem. Any issues? None.
Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want. It's your world right now. But I mean, when I left, I said, man, it's not done. And then Minnesota, after the Kenosha incident, had another riot. Kenosha set Minnesota off again. But then who would have thought that Kenosha would have happened?
Oh, absolutely.
And then you had Kenosha blow up. And I just, I don't know how you can even be proactive to that. I think part of it is leadership across the board, because I don't think I feel like it's like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship where we know shit's fucked up. It's been fucked up for a while, but we're not we don't talk about it. I mean, but it's finally at that head. I found all the text messages. I found all the letters. I mean, it's just a matter of when. It's not even if. It's a matter of when. Which also too, I feel like on a level of this Phoenix, it has to happen though. I mean, a new rebirth because you think about slavery. No one was voluntarily stopping slavery. I mean, it took an entire civil war,
right,
which wasn't a 5-month war.
Right.
It wasn't even a year-long war.
Right.
It was Lincoln was like, fuck, man. Hold up. Girl, and you told me that you had this. This ain't going right. I mean, more people died in the Civil War than all our wars combined. There was bodies, and a lot of them, right? But it's not, you can't own people anymore. Wait, what do you mean?
What?
What?
That ain't cool.
Yeah. You're killing my business. You're killing my business.
You're killing me, big.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man? That ain't cool. And then even after that, Texas was didn't get the memo for 2 more years.
Right. Do you remember reading that? I don't know. I didn't learn that until I was a grown woman. And it was so shocking and infuriating. Why? Why did we not learn that in school?
Well, and that's a tragedy because we grew up hearing that.
Right, exactly.
I mean, for me, that's why America just never, I'm when I think that everything just, I don't blame white folks, Mexicans, blacks. I feel like everyone just had an inferior education Because if you, even like with Latinos, I mean, I feel like they even got it worse because, like, they're not crossing the border; they just moved the border. I mean, because the original like Mexico was like half the other country. And we just were like, "Hey, check this out, homie. You're about to move this like 1,000 miles like this way, and you're on my land now."
Right. All right, that's like when people cut down trees and all this land for the animals and like, okay, I see y'all here, but we're gonna put these condos right here where y'all animals used to be. Just deal with it; it'll be okay.
Right. Yeah, and then we're surprised when that area catches on fire, where we've, it's
Right.
Oh, and that as a metaphor, we're surprised when any of this catches on fire. I mean,
right.
But I mean,
exactly.
if you talk about women's rights, if you talk about women's rights, if you talk about and look at what women have gone through, Chinese Americans, Mexican Americans, Black Americans. I mean, if you just look at the history, you become super sympathetic to it unless you just literally don't have a heart and you're a cold-blooded human being, which those kind of human beings don't really even exist anymore. I feel a lot of it just comes down the miseducation of the human, period.
Right.
Like for a lot of different, which I was really shocked when I went to Germany for the first time, just like the education they do about the Holocaust. Like it's a part of their education, like their program. Like you can't even joke about, not that you should make a Holocaust joke ever. No. I mean, but I'm saying it's something that they're aware, like, yes, this was wrong. This happened. This is what we're doing to make amends for it. I feel like Americans.
They have a lot of memorials regarding the Holocaust or World War II. Like there's a bombed out church in Berlin that's still there, but there are no statues of any Nazi. Right, there are no statues of Hitler. There are no statues of any of his generals, right? And the people who lost don't get glorified the way that we have done that here.
Right, right.
Well, I mean, just like down there in the South with you guys, Sterling, the fact that there was a fight over the Confederate flag.
Oh yeah, and that's been ongoing. That's
like that blows my mind. Like that's even a real thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of places I can go to where I got a rule. If I see so many flags on one block, I need to leave. I need to leave. It's been dangerous for me, and I'm just there for the cats. Right. So I'm not, I've had to. If that's one flag, that's two on the same block. Okay, I'm leaving. I'm not. I can't. You got to send somebody else to get these cats in this area because I'm risking my life now.
You have a 2-flag rule.
Oh yeah, 2 flags on one block, man. I can't. I'll drop the trap off, and I can email you directions. But I'm not about to stay in this neighborhood and risk my life here. Like it's not good. And they looking at me coming in. I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be.
And why is it even a real thing in 2020?
I don't know. I can't believe it's a real thing. But at the same time, I can't believe a lot of this stuff is a real thing that we going through. Seriously, like a lot of it, we still just addressing race the way we addressing it now. And to me, that's like, wow, we still there? We're still there. We still on this one. We can't get this one right. Color. We can't get it right. It's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't mean to sound like, Little Mary Sunshine, but I think in some ways it's because there was so much progress that there's so much backlash. I mean, I think there are people who were so flipped out by President Obama's election twice.
Oh, yeah.
That they're just terrified. They're absolutely terrified of what that means, of the level of change that means. So they're doubling down. Whether it's on police violence or redlining neighborhoods in new ways, new clever, creative ways, job discrimination. I mean, all that research shows you that all that stuff is still happening. I don't mean to, that. But
no, and
it's an amazing point because I saw a change in that when Obama became president and ongoing up until present day, a lot of things changed. The way that I'm looked at and viewed even changed. I was once looked at more so as a well-spoken man, and now it's more so like you might be a slickster, you might be a con artist. It's not the Ben well spoken is now looked at as, oh, you might be pulling a scam, like how Barack was portrayed a lot of times, like it's just a suave scam artist.
Right.
And I could see people taking to me that way, when before it was just, wow, Sterling is a good guy that speaks well.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that anymore. It was a lot of people was looking at that different and saying, are you trying to pull something over? And I'm like, wow,
That's so ugly.
why did that change?
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
to put you all point, Mariangela, you said it on your show. Which thank you. That was a fabulous show.
Oh, yeah, it
and
was
please
great.
tune into your podcast. Mariangela has an amazing. If people want to hear you, where should they find your podcast?
They should. It's on Spotify. It's called Nothing But Now, and also on my Facebook Live or on my Facebook page, you can find the show and you can find the archives of our previous, recordings, because it comes on Facebook Live at noon on Thursdays in noon Pacific time, so 3:00.
Nothing But Now, amazing show.
Thank you.
And you have now said this twice. When you said it the first time,
Mhm.
I was like, wow, right on. And you just said it again, that this fear, and Chuck D, who I've had a great opportunity to meet, fabulous human being, one of the smartest human beings I know, because he was saying this back in the 80s, and he wrote an entire album. Rick Rubin, who's one of the most phenomenal white producers that literally changed black music, him and Russell Simmons, one of the first acts they signed was Public Enemy,
Right.
which basically was talking about what's happening right now. And Chuck D said, there's this fear of a black planet.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit it right on the nail. That's our other homework assignment, is that we have to listen to fear. Before this show, I was banging Chuck D today. Listen, I encourage both of you all. I encourage everyone, listen to what Chuck D was saying back in the 80s. This is like 83, 84. And he wrote about all this, because part of it is just a flat out fear, because we've been programmed to think a certain way about whoever.
Right.
Latino American. Let's just take black out the equation. Mexican Americans, like, they were here before any of us.
Right.
Half the country was Mexico. A lot of people just don't know that. The whole border thing, the border was like literally like half the country. Like, go check your history. Check your Native American history.
Right.
Check your history. I mean, women alone, like, you all just were able to vote recently, basically.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
That's not like that's not like a forever thing. That's
Not at all.
like, you all aren't going to get to vote. You can't vote. It ain't happening. That's not like so I mean, I feel like it's more on just the complete ignorance, and that ignorance creates that fear. So
Yeah, exactly.
man, are you all down for that? Watching an episode of Lovecraft Country, and then
the homework. Yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah, I mean, I be looking for stuff to watch anyway. I've been needing something other than stuff like Tiger King to get me through. So I did.
Have you guys seen it yet?
What's that?
Have you seen it, Lovecraft Country, yet?
I haven't seen
No,
it yet. I've read about
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna thank me.
Forward to it.
Thank me later. You're gonna see why I said love. Here's the cocktail. Lovecraft Country. Eugene Williams, the fabulous story. One of the most famous riots there's so many riots we could pick from in the history of America, but that's one that is really forgotten. Because the other interesting thing too, Mayor Daley, Richard Daley, who was referred to as the boss, who ran Chicago for 1,000 years, who basically was also instrumental in getting Kennedy elected, was a 17-year-old boy
Really?
with his gang in the middle of this riot.
Wow.
So that's why it's an important riot, because this boy, that 17, would be part of one of the second most prolific riots, the April 8th, 1968 King riot,
Yep.
when he said shoot to kill,
Yep.
which my grandmother was part of.
Oh.
She remembers that day. She would tell that story quite often. And she said, yeah, I was on my porch putting the embers that were flying from Pulaski on fire out, along with protecting their home, that hopefully no one would loot. I mean, like a riot. I mean, like we're in
Yeah.
Are we in civil war, or did civil war never stop? That's what
That's a great question.
you know,
Yeah, that's a great question.
I ask. But when you watch this, you're like,
Yeah.
So there's our 3 homework assignments. Everyone out there, I say we reconvene. We're gonna do a double hitter. So I don't know who is on for next Tuesday, but Lovecraft Country, Eugene Williams, and Chuck D. Fear of the Black Planet. Yeah. All right. We just ate up a whole bunch of time. I want to thank Dr. Mariangela Maguire from Gustavus Adolphus College for being here. Not Gustavus, but that's how we met. She was my instructor. She's part of why my brain is the way it is. If you're mad at me, blame her. She did all the programming. And my counterpart down there in Atlanta, the track king, Sterling, out there saving animals, one animal at a time. And as Gandhi said, our culture will be judged by the treatment of our animals. And if you can treat a mouse, it's great, as Gandhi did. And he basically was saying, treat your fellow human just as great. So on that note, Toriano Sanzoni, I'm about to go eat some food, work out, and jump back on it. Because then, actually, this is a double hitter day. Sterling, you coming back at 2:30?
Oh yeah, I'm back, bro.
This is a double hitter podcast day. So we're on it. This is what we do. So thank you, and we'll see each other next Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Same bat time with homework.
Same bat channel.
All right.
Great to meet you, Sterling.
I'm the Wolfkeeper. Thank you to the whole Wolfkeeper posse. Rejoice, Tyrone Scott, Schnelly Nell, everyone down the back end that makes this happen, that makes the curtains go up. I'm out. Toriano Sanzoni. Peace.